He was barely old enough to rent a car, but prosecutors say he was connected to an alleged crypto theft worth more than $230 million. And the part that made the internet stop scrolling was not just the number, it was what allegedly came after: luxury cars, private flights, watches, clubs, mansions, and a lifestyle so loud that investigators could start asking one simple question: where did all of this come from? This is the story of Malone Lamb, an alleged crypto empire, and a rise that looked cinematic until the fall became impossible to hide. This is not a how to story. It is not a verdict. It is a rise and fall documentary told through allegations, court filings, and what authorities say happened. According to prosecutors, Lamb and others were accused in connection with a massive cryptocurrency scheme, with alleged losses reaching hundreds of millions of dollars. But before the headlines, picture the beginning. A young person raised by the internet, where status could be built from a screen and where knowing the language of hidden online rooms could feel like power. Then crypto exploded. Numbers moved like movie scenes, coins became fortunes, fortunes became identities, and for someone chasing recognition, that world could feel like a secret doorway into another life. Authorities would later describe an alleged operation where digital money moved through complex paths. But the important part of this story is not the method, it is the aftermath. Investigators say they followed records, transactions, communications, and spending patterns to understand where the money allegedly went. In September 2024, the Justice Department announced charges connected to an alleged cryptocurrency theft of more than $230 million. According to prosecutors, Malone Lamb and Jandiel Serrano were accused of conspiring to steal and launder cryptocurrency from a victim in Washington, D.C. The allegations painted a story that did not look like an old school robbery. It looked like the internet age, young suspects, huge numbers, luxury spending, digital trails, and a lifestyle that became impossible to ignore. Authorities say the proceeds were allegedly used for international travel, rental homes, luxury cars, watches, jewelry, and expensive nights out. In the rise and fall version of the story, this is the montage: shopping bags, polished floors, security doors, city lights, and cameras catching the shine. But a room full of lights can still feel empty when the whole identity depends on being seen. The story prosecutors describe is not just about money, it is about what money was allegedly supposed to prove: a young man, a skyline, and symbols of success. That is the image the internet understands instantly. Then comes the quiet scene: a phone in his hand, messages, attention, silence. At some point, the cash stops looking like victory and starts looking like a cage. And that is where this file gets serious, because behind the luxury images, prosecutors say there was a real victim. Authorities say the money was not abstract, it belonged to someone. The government described alleged movement of funds through digital paths, but the simple point is this: investigators say they followed the trail. Every transaction left a shadow, every shadow became a clue. As the case widened, headlines turned the alleged scheme into public spectacle. When alleged online crime meets luxury flexing, the internet watches the downfall like a trailer. The more visible the image becomes, the easier it is for investigators to ask where it came from. A mansion can look like winning until the camera pulls back. A table big enough for a crowd can still have one person sitting there. That is the emptiness money cannot hide. The public version of the case arrived through court filings and press releases, where the language was careful, but the numbers were enormous. According to prosecutors, the alleged conspiracy did not stop with one transfer or one flashy purchase. In 2025, authorities announced additional defendants in what prosecutors described as a broader cyber-enabled racketeering conspiracy. The Justice Department said alleged thefts connected to the broader case involved at least $263 million in cryptocurrency. For Malone, the story had moved far beyond image. The person at the center was now surrounded by allegations too large to outrun. The watches and jewelry that once read like status now become visual evidence in the viewer's mind. A closet can tell a story too, the version of yourself you wanted the world to believe. But when authorities begin asking questions, the mirror changes. It stops showing success and starts showing exposure. Authorities say the investigation followed transactions and communications, but this story keeps the focus on consequences, not methods. No secrets are being explained here, only the fallout, papers, files, records, and a trail investigators say became impossible to ignore. In the movie version, the music drops here. The city keeps glowing, but the walls start moving closer. Authorities say Lamb was arrested in September 2024, and the lifestyle story suddenly became a courtroom story. The image shifts from watches and cars to documents and legal proceedings. Charges are not convictions, allegations must be tested in court. Every defendant is presumed innocent unless proven guilty. That is why the language matters. Prosecutors allege, authorities say, filings describe. The story is dramatic, but the law is not a script. The timeline prosecutors describe moves from alleged theft to alleged laundering to alleged spending to indictment and then to a wider case. The club scene is over. The lights are on. What once looked like motion now looks like evidence. A watch in a display case says wealth. A watch in an evidence bag says something else. This is the emotional turn. The same lifestyle that once created attention now creates silence. The phone does not save him in this version. The audience is gone. The notifications fade. So the question at the heart of this case becomes simple. How much is image worth when the foundation underneath is alleged crime? According to authorities, communications and records became part of the broader investigative picture. The alleged trail was technical, but the human story is simple. Money moved, people watched, investigators followed, and by the time the public heard the story, it felt like a cautionary myth from the crypto era. The kid at the computer and the young man in the mansion became part of the same arc. The climb was bright, the hallway was long, and the ending got colder with every step. Everything that looked like a trophy started to look like a timestamp. Prosecutors say the alleged spending helped tell the story of where money went, but this video is not teaching the alleged scheme. It is studying the fallout. The courtroom version will turn on evidence, arguments, and what prosecutors can prove. The online version turns on attention, and attention rarely waits for the full record. That is the trap of becoming a character before the case is finished. A party can become a memory can become a clue can become a question in court. In the internet age, the flex can outlive the flexer. The rise was cinematic. The fall, according to prosecutors, came through documents, arrests, and allegations that would not disappear. As of this story, the safe truth is this: charges are allegations, and the legal process decides what is proven. The case sits between two worlds, old law and new money. The same chart that once climbed now falls across the glass like a warning. Surrounded by symbols of winning, the person at the center can start to look smaller than ever. And maybe that is the part people cannot stop watching. If the lifestyle was built to be seen, was the downfall always going to be public too? In 2025, prosecutors described a wider alleged racketeering conspiracy involving additional defendants and larger alleged losses. The board got bigger, the story got darker, and Malone's name remained part of the public case. For the subject of a rise and fall story, the ending is not a mansion. It is a room with time to think. The driveway is empty, the music is gone, the lifestyle has turned into silence. Online, the story becomes a warning people pass around because it feels almost unreal. But behind the spectacle are real proceedings, real allegations, and a legal system still sorting through the evidence. And somewhere in the beginning of it all is that original image, a young person at a screen chasing something bigger. That is why this story works as a documentary. It is not just about alleged theft, it is about hunger, attention, and consequences. It is about money, mystery, image, and the question of what people will risk to feel untouchable. What happens next belongs to the courts, not the comment section. So I'll leave you with this. Was this alleged rise ever real success, or was it just a countdown to the fall? If you enjoyed this episode, Follow Mindless Pie for more stories about ambition, mystery, and the files people cannot stop opening. And now I want to ask you, what do you think? Was this about money, ego, or the internet turning both into a trap?